Okay, so this is going to be part 2 of the video I just made called Conversations with the Attorney Who Arranged My Adoption. Now, what happened was after that 30-minute little diatribe there, my end of the recording, see, I was talking to him on the phone and I was using this device right here, this notebook, which has a crummy speaker and everything. And so I was using kind of a funky system to record our conversation on the phone, and I had the speaker on my phone. And what happened was, as we were talking, and I was getting to finally, I was going to try to really ask him more about the question of why do I have 2 birthdays? Why are these 2 documents saying that one birthday was April 10, one was May 10? And I was getting nervous. So what I'm going to play, so what happened was I noticed that this device right here kept shutting off right when I started asking him more about this birthday thing. And what I have on this device that I've had for like a year are these 21-second clips of me nervously asking him further questions about the date thing. And so what I'm going to do in this video is play I have about 3 21-second clips where I talk too much and he's trying to answer, but he does say some things. And then I'm going to probably narrate what he says. And now the historic value of me doing this for myself is that the device kept turning off every 21 seconds. So I would turn the recording back on this device right here, and then it would go for 21 more seconds. Get it? 21. And when I asked him the question, I finally got it out. He said a sentence that did not get recorded, and I've remembered that sentence all this time, so I'm going to record by memory what he said to me. Okay, so I have these cheapo speakers right here, and I'm going to play the first 21-second video and just see if I'm trying to do this to get this on YouTube, get it documented, and get it off of this device and call it good. Okay, here we go. Yes, and that, to the point, I could name a list of researchers that were involved in even what is referred to nowadays as cloning technology. And right. And so, to get to the point, that was a little bit why I was curious about if any of my... Okay, you hear what I said? I was so nervous that my voice was shaking, and I said the word cloning. Finally, I got to the point. And if you heard, he said the word right. I was expecting that he would start laughing or brush it off. But when I said what is referred to as cloning technology, he goes, right. Ding. And I was so nervous about asking him this. Okay, so that was that. And then the machine cut off. So here's the next part.
The benefit of mankind, but it's still a form of altering nature as Darwin thought of it.
Yes, it's very.
And now it's with certain ethical.
So you hear what he said? For the benefit of mankind, and it's a form of altering evolution as what did he say? Anyway, you can go back and listen. But see, for the benefit of mankind. Now, before he said for the benefit of mankind, there was a couple sentences that I didn't get recorded where he was referring to cloning technology for the benefit of mankind. Let me play it again.
The benefit of mankind, but it's
See, he said it's still a form, he said it's still a form of altering nature as Darwin thought of it. Okay. And I'm interrupting him like an idiot, going, yes, yes. But did you hear that? It's still a form. He did not debunk the cloning issue at all. And for the benefit of mankind. Okay, now let me just refer the listener, if it's anyone I know or don't know, to the fact that my birth year was 1957. And if you go look up DNA, it'll say on Wikipedia that these two guys discovered DNA in 1953. Margaret Sanger, who was involved with the eugenics movement, was influential in the Planned Parenthood organization, which was operating in the 50s, because both of my mothers, my adopted mother, my birth mother, used Planned Parenthood services in the late 50s. Now, I'm trying not to surmise what I think occurred. Let me finish the recordings and then get to the end of it. So he said that, all right. Dinga dinga. Hang on. He said that, and then this.
Benefits.
Yes,
I'm proud of being Jewish by culture,
yes,
not religion.
yes.
I'm an atheist, but I am culturally Jewish.
Uh-huh.
So are you.
Yes. Okay, did you hear that? He said,
I wanted.
he said about Jewish, then he said, I'm an atheist, and so, but culturally I'm Jewish, and so are you, is what he said to me. Now listen, this is so crazy because he's an atheist. And you're talking about a 98-year-old Jewish man. He told me what's not on the tape that before this, he said he was born in Chicago. He was trained, he was in the Air Force in Chicago. He joined the SEC, Security and Exchange Commission. This was way back in the 50s. And when he came to Los Angeles and passed the bar or whatever, that's when he met my parents, because his sister-in-law or sister lived across the street from my parents' house. So you're talking about like, okay, like after World War II, a lot of Jews escaped Europe and came to the United States and settled in LA. This is no big secret anymore. And here's this 98-year-old man last year telling me that he's an atheist, but culturally he's Jewish. And then he said, and so are you. Now, why on earth would this man tell me, and so are you? Right? And then say anything about Darwin, like I mentioned earlier. So I'm hearing all this, and I guess I'm getting more nervous by the minute because I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, what if he was, and I haven't called him back to ask him because it's a sensitive subject. But the fact that he didn't laugh off my inquiry after using the term cloning, the fact that the experiments in these secret labs about cloning research started when these guys got a hold of DNA, right? And the fact that little babies in adoption centers were ripe for being utilized in experimentation, correct? Now, I was going to show the documents that I have here. They're right here that show this discrepancy, but what I wanted to do is just record the videos that he said. Okay, so those are the three clips I got. Well, what happened after he said those things, it's too bad I couldn't control my voice. I was so nervous. I must have, the part I'm not quite sure is how I asked him why I have two birthdays. And this is the part that didn't get recorded. And I remember his answer verbatim. So that's what I want to record in this video. when I brought it up again that this document said I was born May 10th rather than April 10th. Here's what he said that I didn't get on this videos was he said, or in the audio, in the recording, he said, so you can celebrate 2 birthdays. That's what he said. He didn't say it was a typo. He didn't say, oh, there was a mistake. You were born April 10th. He said to me on the phone, so you can celebrate 2 birthdays. So shortly after that, the phone call ended, but it rang in my ears. So you can celebrate 2 birthdays. What does that mean? What do you mean I can this is what I haven't called him back to ask further. What do you mean I could celebrate 2 birthdays? Who the fuck wants to do that? Because you got to do astrology and when were you born? Now, I mean, those were the kind of emotional questions I had after he said, so you can celebrate 2 birthdays. And he said it in this nice, familiar Jewish fashion. And I say Jewish fashion because I grew up with Jewish people and they have a certain way of making light of intense issues. Like, oh, you can celebrate 2 birthdays. April 10 and May 10. So that's what I wanted to record. He said that. He said those things about Darwin, and that indicates that he was telling me he's well aware of the theory of evolution and that something was altered, blah, blah, blah. You heard what he said. Now, did he know that I researched Margaret Sanger, I researched Planned Parenthood, and but I did tell him I brought up the subject about cloning, and like I say, he didn't laugh me off and say, what are you talking about? So anyway, I'm making this video to say that, dude, he, in my opinion, let me get those darn documents. He verified, he actually validated the assumption I have. Okay, here's the document in question. And I went over this in other videos, but let me bring it back here. And I've had this document since the 80s, but I never noticed these typos. Now, allegedly I was born April 10, Vista Del Mar. Now, the way I'm surmising things is that Vista Del Mar has been in operation for 100 years. In those days, they catered to Jewish families. Think of the Holocaust when all these Jewish people were annihilated. And the survivors and stuff moved to California and the United States. And certain babies were, but like they took me, instead of offering me to the Comanche Nation to adopt me there, they kept me in the Jewish family. Okay, but look at this, Vista Del Mar, and then it says medical information part 1. Now, this is dated June 21st, 1957. I would have been over 2 months old. And this is called part 1, the infant. And it's called medical information. Look, name, baby girl. Now, why wasn't there more identity on the baby girl? Question number 1. Because by June 1957, I had a name in the adoption records, and I was allegedly already at home with my new family. So that's mystery number 1. No case number, female. Cedars of Lebanon. Down here, full term, yes. And all these things aren't filled out. It's a typewriter doing it. Spontaneous birth, it says yes. Now, the fact is I was born breech, so was my sister. Spontaneous breech, maybe, but notice how they did not make note of breech. Now, I'm going to stretch it out and say this may not have been my body. This may have been a duplicated infant from my DNA. I said it. I said may have been. Okay, so notice how this report doesn't fill out any of this other stuff. It's blank, blank, blank. And look, birth date 5/10/57. Wrong. I was 4/10/57. Time 3:15 p.m. On the other document, it says I was born 8 in the morning or 8 o'clock. Okay, maybe that was a typo. And then all this is left blank. Now, suppose they did duplication technology or cloning technology on an infant with my DNA and the whole 9 yards, which if you really research cloning, you can see there's different ways to duplicate an infant. So what if this blob of flesh might have been an experiment to duplicate me? That's where I'm going with this. Condition of, what does it say here? Complications, none. Birth injury. Now, we already know that there are many ways to raise a child. You can raise a test tube baby and all this. Okay, but this is in the 50s. Birth injury doesn't say nothing. Da, 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 da. Okay, weight gain or loss. Now they went to whoever the nurse was, went to the trouble to mention weight loss. And look at all this. Everything's fine. You know, really, if he's still alive, I should call him back. And then it says, normal, what the heck? Normal female newborn. Normal female newborn. Is this report about a baby that's 2 months old? No, normal female newborn. Down here, laboratory test. Now, you would have thought that if they were really documenting little me, that all these things would have been filled out. Physical, but a lot of this was left blank. Why? Okay. So when I first looked at that, I thought, oh, there was just a typo about May. Next page. Oh, shit. Its video reached almost a minute. I got to cut it off, but I'm going to continue.